African.
I fell on 2 occasions in the washroom because it was, even though I was with the crutches, but because it is stiff, when I'm falling, there is no way to balance myself. I just go to the floor. This has happened. It's a bad time. I can imagine.
That was how difficult it was for 37-year-old Wisdom Tetena to narrate the struggles he goes through as he adjusts to what he says has become a permanent disability. Reports of alleged medical negligence are not uncommon. Many patients in Ghana have at one point or the other reported some negligence on the part of a health official. It is unclear how many proceed to get justice, since complaints of such nature can be difficult to pursue. But the story is different this time. Wisdom, a father of 2, was involved in a motor accident on 1st February 2014.
So we were rushed to Tamajina Hospital for emergency treatment. Upon initial examination, it was discovered that my condition was critical, so I was given a transfer to 37 Military Hospital. So within an hour or 2, ambulance were prepared and I was conveyed to 37 Military Hospital. My fractured part was supported with a splint, and because of the heavy bleeding, there was a rubber. A rubber was used to cover it to prevent the ambulance from getting soiled. But this was not, when I got to 37, this was not open, it was not attended to, it was not dressed. I was just lying in bed until the 3rd day.
According to him, the 6 medical doctors who attended to him within the period he was on admission did not give him proper care and attention, leaving his right leg incapacitated. Wisdom is suing the 6 medical doctors, the Ghana Health Service, the 37 Military Hospital and the Attorney General for 2.5 million Ghana cedis.
When I got to 37, this was not open, it was not attended to, it was not dressed. I was just lying in bed until the 3rd day, when one Ewuku, who is a senior surgeon and a military man, came around during one of the morning routine checks and identified from one of my edges that I had a crash on my head. So he said that he wanted a confirmation by an x-ray. So he ordered some nurses to carry me to have a test run on me, an x-ray run on me. So in the process, as I was being carried, I was being conveyed to the x-ray department. Then this stench was coming out, so the nurses asked among themselves, and I told them that it was actually from my leg, because since 3 days that I had been on admission, I did not receive dressing, my wound was not dressed. So the blood that oozed initially flowed from my leg, because it was covered by the rubber. It got to the level of the wound and it got inside the wound again, making the stench very, very bad.
The back and forth and the inconsistency in the treatment pushed Wisdom to request to be discharged from the 37 Military Hospital. His medications written for him did not work, as he saw no improvement in his condition.
When I wrote the letter for discharge, I explained in the letter that their refusal to dress my wound as a result has caused my leg infected and has caused me my stay on admission longer, and the healing was slow, or there was no healing at all. So when the letter got to the administration, the senior doctors and the nurses took time to come to my bed, tried to convince me to stay and assure me that I'll get a better treatment. So this thing took them about a week to convince him, but I was relented. I didn't change my mind. So when I got there, I got the prescription from Dr. Alecha after the lab test was run. That time, everything was signed for us. Everything was perfect for us to go. So I took the medication. Then after I took the medication, after the prescribed medication was taken, we realized that it was too late because the infection has rather advanced.
His lawyer, Francis Xavier Sosu, filed the writ of summons and statement of claim jointly and severally against the aforementioned, claiming damages. So what will the impact of this suit be? Is there hope for Wisdom to be compensated and perhaps get a closure on this chapter of his life? The 37-year-old is disappointed his condition has rendered him jobless after spending all his savings on medical bills, including wrongly prescribed drugs and surgeries, among other medical expenses. The accident occurred shortly after he married his wife and resigned from his job with the hope of starting his own company. He has, however, spent all his savings for the business venture on medical bills. His wife takes responsibility of providing for the family with her earnings from her small business. Midway through this interview, Wisdom could not hold back his tears as he recounted how many times he has fallen in the bathroom because he could not balance his shortened leg.
Welcome to the show. Today is a Tuesday evening, and tonight we are discussing the healthcare system in Ghana. The healthcare system in Ghana. Now, if you're a regular, viewer of Pan-African TV, you notice that one of our very notable faces has been absent from the screen for a while now. David Attoh is, our boss here. So to speak, he has been the consistent face of our news break, for a while now. And if you watched us during the election focus, he was one of our main anchors for the process and for most of the processes when it comes to elections. Not just elections in Ghana, elections in Africa, and all of that for a while now. But for months, literally for months, David has been absent from the screens. He has also been absent from the newsroom where he acts very actively as news editor. Now, this has been because of an ailment. David has been unwell. David is back. However, in interacting with him and talking about his experiences, this issue of the healthcare system in Ghana came up again. And we thought to have a bigger conversation with everybody, Once we had that conversation, we went back just to have a look to see if it's just peculiar to his experience or it's a normal thing that happens in our healthcare, with our healthcare providers. We realized that actually, yes, it is. Most people have horrid stories to tell once they've been through, the system or once they've had to go through the system. Now, the video that we just watched before the show started is one, news story filed by our sister station, Joy News. It's a Joy News Dex report, and of course we'd like to give them credits for it, but it sort of summarizes the conversation. Now, if you go online, just live casually look online, you would come across lots and lots and lots and lots of stories of medical negligence, happening within our system. Listen, I have plenty of them here. Now, our conversation this evening is going to look at, or try to make some sense of all of this. We're going to look at errors in diagnosis, errors in treatment, errors in aftercare, and we are going to ask the question, if this is just a case of the medical staff being negligent in exercising due care and just being professional, or this is a bigger issue of a whole healthcare system, in this country that has simply gone bad and is not fit for purpose. That's our conversation for this evening. My colleague, David Attoh, is back, and we are having this conversation together. Stay with us. You don't want to miss this.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Welcome back to the show. This evening we are talking the healthcare system in Ghana, and we are having this conversation with my colleague, David Attoh. David, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Wow.
Great to see you.
Wow.
A lot of changes.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm still deciding if it's positive change or negative change.
I've gone through a lot of reasoning, a lot of emotions, a lot of thought, thinking through. I think it's positive.
Positive, right? So
It's a chance at second life. That's how I see it. That's how I've psyched myself. So, positive change.
It's great to have you back.
Great to be back in the studio. I miss the studio. I see the sets and my mind is jamming. Great
And
to
we
be back.
missed you.
I missed you all. I missed you all.
We really missed you.
Yeah.
It's great to have you back. Okay, so let's go all the way to the top. If you don't mind, if I'm pushing too much, just tell me, hey, calm down.
I know.
Right, so let's start from the top.
Right.
You were in, do you mind talking about giving names and things like that?
Yes, I wouldn't mind.
Right, so you were in
37 years.
For how long?
For about a month and a half.
About a month and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
I think from June to somewhere in July.
From June to July.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't mind my accent, for what?
Closed from work. I think on that, should I say fateful or unfaithful day? I think it was the 8th of June somewhere there. Closed from work. I passed through some families, relatives, so got home a bit late. I think I got home around 9:30, 10. Normally, the ideal thing is that I drive through the gates, because by the time I get home, after news, I get home around 8:39. But this time it's around 10, somewhere around that time. The gate was locked. So I was like, whoa. So I blew the horn. Then the normal thing was that by the time I get home, it's not too late. The gate would have been open, because they closed the gate around 10:30. I got home around that time. The gate was, I think the gate was locked. So I blew the horn. The guys were not around. So I decided to be the macho man. I pulled the gate, and the whole thing came tumbling on me. Not knowing, is this heavy gate with the wheels under. And for some time the gate had gone faulty. The gate guys didn't say anything, so I didn't know the gate was faulty. So the moment I opened it, the whole thing came down and broke my knee. Actually broke my knee, as in broke, fractured. Some of the bones were into pieces. But thank God, God being so good, I survived it. I don't know how, because right from the hospital, the surgeons, nobody believed I'm still alive. Because if you look at the impact and the way the gate came down, nobody still believes I survived it, because they were expecting, why didn't it fall on you?
Right.
Why your knee? Because if the gate comes down, it will definitely fall on you. But that's a miracle of God. I don't know, myself, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, whoa, well, it was a heavy gate. Fortunately, the car, where I parked in front of the gate, so the car took most of the weight of the gate. And amazingly, nothing happened to the car also. The glass didn't break, nothing. There was not a single dent on the car. I don't know how I fell. I don't remember. All that I remember was I was telling the security guy, Minami, because I could feel the impact. I realized when it was twisted. So I had to virtually take it and shift it back. So we rushed to 37. And that's where my counting ordeal started from. And I think I should put this on record. I'm not saying this to dent the image of the hospital, but I think that for me as a journalist, there are some things we need to talk about, set the record straight. So I'm not targeting the hospital, I'm not targeting anybody, because I met great guys, great surgeons. My surgeon, great surgeon. And along my duty as a profession as a journalist, I've been through other parts of the world, and I've fallen ill, and I've visited some hospitals. And I can say that facility has got some of the best professionals there. Because the surgeon who handles, can I mention names? I don't know.
I mean, hey, take me where you want us to go. I'm in your hands today.
Yeah, Dr. Ojo, Dr. Kolo, great guys with the passion. And I don't know whether because I can't say that, whether when they realized I was a journalist or so, because the old man passed through and all those. But great guys, and I've developed so much liking for them. Dr. Ojo treats me like a brother. You call anytime he sees me in the world, he pats me on the back and we chat. So I think the record is there. The record must be set straight. That I'm doing this not because we are targeting anybody, but to bring out the issues that I think people should listen to. And that's where I come from, that the system is what is really causing the problem. Yes, there are some bad notes. I've met some bad notes. I met some bad notes there. And I see the professionals and those who have monetized the system, making sure that the system that itself is not working will not even work better. So you have two professionals competing. You have those professionally working, and you have those who have intentionally monetized the system, to an end. And I think those are the issues that I will want to bring out, so for those watching, for us to make a sense out of the whole situation.
I love stories, so I'd like for us to tell it, systematically. You know that I love stories.
Yeah.
I want for us to tell it systematically, because the issues are many. And if we don't sort of plan it well and sort of tell it well, we might miss a lot of, the point. So talk us through the way you talk me through.
Yeah.
Yes, let's just do that. Please talk me through.
All right, so
the main issues.
We got to the hospital. Let me continue this. We got to the hospital, and I was shocked. I think it was June. The COVID, situation was still there.
Yes.
And who would expect that somebody in that situation will be wearing a nose mask? I think these are some of the things that I don't know, but for me, I think the healthcare system must take notice of. And we were nearly rejected at the trauma unit because I was not wearing a nose mask.
The person that has just
that you see me virtually my knee, one on one side, the other on one side.
And the hospital
at that time,
nearly
the staff,
away.
One of the staff at the trauma unit realized I wasn't wearing a mask, and the security guy who drove me was also not in a mask because it was late.
And it's an emergency.
And it's an emergency situation. So I was like, I virtually started screaming because I realized, we've heard stories of people passing away because of such negligence and people not showing maturity and professionalism. So I virtually started screaming for help right in the car. Because the guy was like, if you are not wearing nose mask, why are you coming here and COVID and you are not wearing nose masks? And then when he realized we were making point, he moved that where we had parked the vehicle was meant for only ambulances, and that we should move the vehicle in which I was before I'll be attended to. So
immediately, total lack of empathy.
Total lack of empathy.
Total lack of empathy. Total lack of appreciation of the situation for what it is. Somebody needs
urgent care.
Urgent health care.
Yeah.
So even the attitude that meets you at the entrance, wrong.
Yeah. So
who is training the people we put at the gate?
What do they call them? Is it the first receivers? They have a name for them.
Who is training them?
And I was shocked. So that triggered my system to be careful. Because in this job, we've heard stories. I've seen stories. I've listened to people telling their story, their ordeal at various hospitals. So that triggered my emergency mindset.
You're like, hey.
So I was like, whoa! If I flop here, I'll find myself wanted. Trouble. Yes. I was expecting. You see somebody in that situation. What do you do? Wheelchair. So the security guy started asking. The one asking for the nose mask, why is he not bringing a wheelchair when you see me in that situation? That aside, so we argued. I was left there. They started arguing. So
you were there and they were arguing?
I was in the car. Eventually, the car had to move from where the ambulance. If you know the trauma center, in front there they have where just in front of the door is where the ambulances normally park. So they had to move the vehicle in front. The gentleman, the night nurse, virtually walks in. The guys who took me there had to go inside to bring a wheelchair.
And there was a night nurse?
And there were night nurses.
Who didn't bother?
So I was like, so in lifting me up,
what if they cause more damage?
So virtually, I got lost. I got lost. So we got inside, cut a long story short.
So who lifted you into the hospital?
The security guys who...
The security guys?
The watchmen who...
Not a trained medical professional?
Not a trained medical professional.
A security guard lifted you up? Somebody who's just had an accident?
Put me in the wheelchair and they wheeled me inside.
Okay, let's go.
So I got inside, and through the talking, the argument... I think
they are still arguing?
Yes, because the security guy didn't really understand why... the exchanges had to happen. Somebody in that situation, you were asking for nose masks. Now we've moved on. The wheelchair wasn't coming. We had to get to the wheelchair, and then all those things. So they were arguing.
How about just give the person a nose mask? How about have nose masks at the door? So as soon as you get, Master, put this nose mask on. How about that?
Nobody cared.
Right.
So fortunately, there was one young doctor. I've forgotten the name. So I think when he heard he walked in, received me nicely, and that's where I talked about the professionalism and staff who are really willing to work. So he comes in, calms the situation down, and then moves me to the consulting room. So I got to the consulting room, and he writes X-ray, and that was another problem. Because I'm going to do X-ray with a broken knee. At the trauma center, I have to be wheeled to a different department, the X-ray department. That's about some 2 minutes, just close to the place. But the ordeal, what I'm going through, I had to be wheeled by the same two gentlemen, no medical staff assisting me. Around that time, got to the the X-ray department, went through the processes, very painful indeed. No medical staff at that time. So we did the X-ray. We got in. He had a look at it. He tells me it was nice. The young doctor. I was told he was doing his housemanship. Yeah.
Bless him.
Yeah, bless him. He was doing his housemanship. He tells me my situation. Initially, I thought it was just a twist, just a fracture. So he tells me, he had to tell me the truth. I shouldn't expect any PUP. They were just saying, oh, I shouldn't PUP now, what is here? So he comes, had a look at the X-ray, says, my brother, you need surgery. So that awoke in yeah. So I was admitted at the trauma unit. I think the following day, they came. I have to be moved to the ward. And this issue about cash and carry comes back because before you are moved from the trauma unit to the ward, you had to pay, I think I paid 1,500 or so before you are given a bed.
1,500?
I think 1,500 if I'm not mistaken, 1,500 or 1,200 or 1,000. So if you don't have the cash, right, you are left there.
And of course, how would you plan to have that cash on you on an evening you've closed from work? You're just going home.
So I had to make calls, called home. I called the office. I called my boss. And I have to say at the end, I'll just say a big thank you to everybody.
Let's tell the story. Let's go.
The following day, right, they said the specialist comes in, had a look at it. We made the payments, and I was given a bed in the ward, so I had to be moved to the ward. And when I was being wheeled, halfway through before we got to the ward, a friend who works at 37 takes a look at the folder, and that's one part of negligence. They had given me a wrong folder, with a different name.
It was not your folder.
It wasn't my folder. It wasn't my folder. So along the line, the guy takes a look at the folder and realizes, this is not your folder. So the whole process halts. Now we had to take a second.
Let's talk about that process. Which process was this?
They were taking me to the ward. Now they need to have your records, right, your X-rays and everything, right, under the bed, so that when they know how to take care of you.
And they took somebody else's folder. So they could have been treating you, taking care of you.
If the guy had not checked,
right,
I would have been in danger,
right,
because it was somebody else. I think the person, some prostate something or something. Right. So the
somebody
guy
who had a completely different
situation from mine. So I was wheeled.
So which guy saw the error?
It's a church member at 37.
Your friend?
A friend.
Essentially.
Yes, a friend.
So again, bless him. Because if your friend hadn't been there.
Because at that moment, the pain I was in, I wouldn't think I would have, really been able to tell.
What's my business looking at my folder?
Exactly.
Why am I looking at my folder?
And I'm sure they would have given me wrong drips or something. Yes. Because the moment you are wheeled there, because of the pain, they have to give you drips and all those things. So the guy checks, and we had to stop. They went back, brought my folder. Now I had access to the ward. We got to the ward.
So that would have been two different cases.
That would have been
separate.
Exactly.
Mishaps. So because he also obviously had somebody else's folder.
Exactly.
And you had somebody else's folder.
Exactly.
Wow.
We got to the ward. Now they had to do, I think they call it backslash or backslab or something. It's a whole different thing. Because of the broken knee, they had to, they call it trashing. They had to trash my leg. It's like POP. They put it under your leg to support it. They pull the leg and put the thing under to support it. And then you realize when you came out, my leg was hanging.
Yes.
So they trash it and then hang the leg to keep it in touch, in straight in tandem, awaiting surgery. Right. So I was in that stage for about 2 weeks. The way you saw me.
For 2 weeks?
Yeah, for 2 weeks. We'll come to that. Why that 2 weeks? So one of the staff comes, I don't know what he saw, and decides to give me a POP.
When you had already been told that you won't be given a POP?
Yes, because I think everything was prescribed.
Right.
I don't know whether I didn't see it or whether it was negligence or what. So I was giving, he comes and gives me something different from what was originally had been written. Right. So another staff comes in and was like, but with this situation, why are you in this kind of POP or whatever they call it? And I was like, oh, so this gentleman came. He said, no, that would be so cool. And I said, then. So he comes back. They had to remove with the pain, because putting that thing there, what I went through.
I can imagine, David.
Because the knee was, look, the knee was, it has shifted from the joint. So it's like collecting it and fixing it back.
Right. So you had gone through that process.
Gone through
been
that.
Put into a POP. Somebody comes and says, no, they want to
So they had to remove it, go through another process of pulling and fixing the right thing. Said if they don't do it, the leg will go bad. So I had to enjoy it. So I enjoyed it, and they did it. They changed it.
So go through the pain of fixing it. Go through the pain of unfixing it, and then go through the pain of fixing it the right way. Okay.
So along the line, I was scheduled for surgery. Well, I had already been scheduled for surgery, and along the line, the surgeon date, because it was a Wednesday. So normally what they'll come and tell you that, you are due tomorrow. But I was given a date, so I knew, like, that date I was supposed. Right. So they come and prepare you, talk to you, and blah, 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 blah. So I was there a day before the surgery. I was there, and it's like, the surgery has been postponed. It's like, oh, wow. And if you are in that situation, when you are told the surgery has been postponed, you wish for something else. Because you know how you saw me there. Lied on my back for 2 weeks with the pain. You can't sleep, go taking medications, the drips and everything. And then you've psyched the psychology itself can defeat your purpose. Because you've psyched yourself that today I'm going to do surgery. And then
in a way, my pain is coming to an end.
My pain is coming to an end, because that's what, I was made to believe, that soon after the surgery, and that's another issue I'll be talking about. Soon after the surgery, everything will be fine. So I started probing, what could be the reason? I was told there's no water running through the department.
Water is the reason why.
Yes, that's the reason they gave to us. It's not me alone. There were, a lot of people have been billed for surgery that day. So that day, no surgery, and the reason was there was no water in the theater. So I was like, a big hospital. And what baffles me is that they share a wall with the Ghana Water Company Limited. So everybody was
sorry,
like,
Madam.
Everybody was like, but from here, it's just a wall. If you know 37, they have this Navy wardroom or something. The next door is Ghana Water Company. So everyone was like, why? No water. So we had to wait for the water system to start running through the process. So we were there, I was there, and then fortunately, God being so good, I think a week or two after, everything got normal.
It took a week or two?
Yes, because the surgeries are done on Wednesday. My surgeon does his surgeries on Wednesdays. Right. So if you miss this week, then next week. If you miss it, yes. If you miss the schedule Wednesday, unless the next Wednesday.
And just so viewers have an understanding of what it means, that 1 week means 1 week more of being in the hospital.
Of being in pain. Not just pain, excruciating pain. Not just pain. Pain that can get you mad. Virtually, let me say that. Yeah.
So another week of that.
Yes, another week.
Because there's no water.
Because there's no water.
Right. And also, you're getting billed for your time.
I'm getting billed, yes. I'm getting billed.
For that extra week?
For that extra week, yes.
That you
getting
really
billed.
do not have
You don't have control over it. It's not my fault. You are getting billed for that. Because the ward where I was paying.
Of course you were.
Yes. So through no fault of yours, you have to, endure the pain. And wait and pay for extra, bills. But for me, it is what they fail to understand. It's the psyche of the person going into the surgery. into surgery.
Right.
Anybody who has gone through surgery will understand.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to be told you are going to be operated upon. For you to have the courage to master it and swallow it and wait for that day, and then be told that you can't have the surgery because there's no water, it speaks volumes.
It's a lot.
Yes.
I remember my own surgery.
Yeah.
I spent about 2 days Googling every possible outcome.
Yeah.
So eventually the doctor said to me, Amma, stop it. Because you are putting yourself through unnecessary stress. So you go through that process, psych yourself for the day.
Yeah.
And no.
You have
to go through that process. That whole mental.
It's killing. No, it's killing. So we waited, the D-Day came, and for me, and that's where I think that it's important we have this discussion. Because at what point, if you have a good healthcare system, in the story that I'm relating, if you are listening carefully, you realize that along the line there should be protocols that can be triggered. If the healthcare system is actually working, the first respondents, the gentleman I met at the trauma unit, they are the first respondent because they are the first person to receive you. Along the chain that I've mentioned, there should be a trigger system, some kind of protocols to follow. Somebody walks into the hospital, what do? Do you leave him? Do you allow family members to carry and be wheeling the person into the ward or into the theater or whatever? So along the line, all these protocols are not there. I don't know whether they are there and people are just failing to adhere to these protocols. And I think those are the issues that, for me, I want us to be looking at.
Isn't that what makes it a system?
But
wouldn't those things that you speak about, David, be the things that makes it a system? What is a system if there are no rules, no laid down rules of engagement? You know, people decide to do as
what
they like.
Yeah.
Then it's not a system, is it?
There's no system.
Because if it's a system, the person who meets you should literally have rules of engagement.
Yes.
When somebody walks in, what do? I do this, I do that, I do that. The attending nurse should know. I do this, I do this. So that's what makes it a system.
A functioning
if
system.
All of these things are absent, and everybody can decide to say, go away, you don't have nose masks.
Yeah.
Why are you asking him to go away? Then it's not a system.
There's no system. And for me, I think that is what it's really killing our healthcare system. I want really suffocating the healthcare system in the country because of these systems. I don't know if they exist, and you know, the medical staff do not or are just not adhering to the protocols within the system. And I think that's a discussion we should be probing towards, to be finding out, you know, why we allow our own brothers and sisters to be going through. Look, if you are, and I keep saying that, I don't know whether later when they realized where I work and what I do, whether it's softening the stance, maybe I would say I got it much better, even with what I went through. Because at the point, they realized this guy is a journalist, so, you know, that attitude, that relationship started coming. But that came after the surgery. And I keep asking myself, when one is going into surgery, I don't know other hospitals, I don't know other healthcare systems. Because I never got to meet my surgeon before I went into theater. I was expecting, you know, that maybe I could meet him. Information. Just, you know, what is going to do, what will be happening. I had that information when I started because I didn't know what I was going to go through. So I asked from the medical team, some of the nurses, they tell me they will do this, they will do that, they will do this. And the assurance, I don't know whether I should say assurance, that the moment, you know, you go through the surgery, done. Not knowing it comes with a whole lot. You know what I'm going through.
Hold on. So I want to read a little something here.
Right.
And this is somebody else's experience. Do forgive me.
Right.
Sort of buttress, you know, this, you're ready for surgery, hold on situation. So this person says, the doctor explained that some tools and items needed for the surgery were yet to arrive in the country and showed Dorothy a text message to confirm the delay in procuring the materials. One of these items was the surgical glue. But the family, too desperate to entertain delays, ordered the surgical glue from the US. Through a Catholic priest who is a friend to the family, the surgical glue arrived on Saturday, September 7th, 2019. They sent the glue to the hospital the same day. The rescheduled date for the surgery was some 2 days away. That's the September 19th. So by this point, the surgery had already been postponed a couple of times. But for those specific postponement, the reason given was a surgical glue.
Wow.
So now the family went and bought its own surgical glue from the US and presented it to the hospital. Now, September 9, 2019, inside the theater, Solomon had been given anesthesia to numb the pain associated with the surgery. The family was hopeful that finally the surgery was to proceed. But moments later, the medical team emerged to explain that a drill to be used for the operation had malfunctioned. The consultant surgeon said a new drill was to come from South Africa. The surgery was abruptly postponed again to September 13, 2019. September 13, 2019, the consultant surgeon reported that he had a flu. The drill from South Africa was even yet to arrive. He explained to the family, and so the surgery was once again postponed.
Wow.
September 16, 2019, a family member paced anxiously in front of the theater as Solomon was filled in. At about 3 p.m., a doctor would come out of the operating room and explain that. One second, I'm so sorry. And explain that while in the middle of the surgery, the drill malfunctioned again. By this time, Solomon Asari Kume's skull had been split open.
Whoa.
The doctor said they had to perform an open and close procedure. The surgery was postponed, much to the family's disappointment. So on and on and on and on and on until the guy died. So somebody who's been anyway. So I mean, just to give a sense to viewers of what you speak about, that this is something that happens on the regular.
It happens,
You know,
it happens.
so one person, it was postponed for a number of times, and it's a lot. Why, you know, I just wanted to take the tail end. Postponed for a number of times. Eventually, the hospital now said, "Oh, we don't have surgical glue." You know, so the family goes ahead and procures the glue by themselves. They bring it to the hospital. The hospital now says, "Oh, you know, now there's a drill. You know, we don't have a drill. The drill has to be brought in from South Africa." Again, now
in the middle of this.
Yes, now the surgeon says I have a flu, so that's another week. You know, and then in the middle of the surgery, they say that the drill is faulty. So open and close. They've opened the skull, but let's just shut it and come back again. And of course, eventually, the man dies. And I have so many more, you know, so many more of such cases. There's something I want to talk about, David, before we go on. And this is the issue of the monetization of the system. It comes up every time. You know, in fact, in one of the instances, the surgeon asked for money to be paid directly to him. Directly to him. Into his account. I know that now you are friends with some of them, so you are reluctant and unable to get into those details. But would that be strange? Is that something that you encounter?
I'm just laughing. It's not strange. It's not. Because I was asked to procure some, you know, the plates for the surgery. Because it was broken, they had to put the plates, you know, screw and then hold the bone. So that's what I'm going through now. I was asked to get one, not from the hospital. It came through a private billing, and I had to pay to a different account outside the hospital. I don't know, but
the question to ask is this right? Is this ethical? Is the hospital aware? You know, a lot of questions come up.
Because when I was asked to call, I was given a number to call to arrange for the plates. You know, so the first question, I'm a journalist, so definitely if you tell me like to ring bells in my ears. The first question that came into mind was, why is the hospital not providing those plates? Why am I being asked to call somebody outside the jurisdiction to arrange for those plates? You know, and the amazing thing is that you do the payments in the hospital, but to a different account. So if it's the hospital account, you pay directly to the cashier. But this one, I think a different table has been set
within the hospital.
Within the hospital, because when we were making the payments, we were told that where we were supposed to, who we were supposed to pay to had not arrived there in the morning, so we had to wait. But meanwhile, other services were ongoing. The billing, people paying their bills. So that's what has been up to now. Right. I've been trying to find out, why that. Because if it's the hospital must be able to bill me and say, this is what you need, so pay for it, But I had to call outside the jurisdiction and arrange for the plates to be brought to the hospital.
Absolutely. And, I mean, there are cases where, and I highlighted some of them, I just can't. Okay, so here's one, for instance. It says here, the family was advised to act very fast, and the very next day, after the double test result, Thursday, September 19th, Solomon was rushed to National Cardio Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for an IVC filter procedure. It was to cost $5,500. The consultant surgeon, under whose care Solomon had developed blood clots, also charged $10,000, explaining his services were of an Indian standard. So $5,500 as cost for the procedure, and then the surgeon himself was charging $10,000, and he was explaining that this is because he's of Indian standard.
So needs to.
So this is his fee, and this is within Kolebu.
Yeah.
Of course, you are talking about 37. This account is from Kolebu. So the surgeon who's supposed to operate on me within the Kolebu hospital is charging $10,000. What are we even charging in dollars?
I wouldn't be surprised. I just wouldn't be surprised, because
if I wanted Indian standard, what am I doing in Ghana?
India. I would definitely go into it. And I heard, when it was a big ward, so you hear stuff, especially when the old man came visiting and they realized where I was coming from. And you could tell, people were telling me, we want people who were willing to share their experiences of what they've gone through, especially when the water issue came up. People were telling me, whilst I was suffering, I was minding my own pain, but people were willing to share what they were going, and they were sharing of experiences they had to, when it comes to the monetization we're talking about. Some had been asked to pay, for the plates, and they are finding it difficult to raise the amount. The plate alone costs over 4,000 Ghana cedis, and you had to come up with it before the surgery. So imagine somebody who doesn't have it. What happens? You are left there with the pain. And it at a point I cry. I lie down and I cry. Because for me, I was fortunate I had people to come in and help. What about those who wouldn't find people to come and help?
It's a terrible situation. It's a terrible situation. I actually want to read something. I want to read something about, one account where the pharmacy, actually told the patients that you are buying too many drugs.
Yeah.
It's one of the accounts here. Unfortunately, I thought I underlined it. I can't find it. Where the pharmacy was so concerned about how much medication this patient was being asked to buy. So the pharmacy refused to sell him. Said, "You're buying just too much," because this patient had been transferred to another facility.
Yeah.
But of course, he had come with
the prescription.
Right. What he was already being put on from somewhere else. So this new place said, "My goodness, how are they putting you on this? Why are you paying for this? It's too much." And eventually, in his case, it was that killed him.
Whoa.
Yes. It was that killed. Goodness. Eventually, it was discovered that he had too much
of drugs in his system,
of that particular drug, of that particular
system.
substance in his, in his system, and that's what
that put him off.
That's what, I mean,
it's
I've worked in the bank before. I did my national service in the bank, and in one of our local banks, and I remember after that experience, after being there for about a year doing my national service, I've had the experience of different banks, thankfully, and in that particular place, I find myself explaining to people sometimes that sometimes I get the, in quotes, bad service because you have somebody who has been in the same position for about 30 years. Because my mom worked in the bank, and some of these women were my mom's colleagues. My mom started working with them when she started working in the bank. And my mom worked in the bank till she went on retirement. So it was a situation of, I've been doing this for 30 years or over. I've answered this question over a million times. This question you're asking, I've answered it. To me, it doesn't matter that it's a different person. It's the same question. I've answered this same question. At some point, I get exasperated with it, And so sometimes I explain to people that look at it from, because being there myself and witnessing some of the, I could understand from both ends of the coin. And so sometimes I think that this attitude to pain is just as a lack of normalization. Is it? They've seen people in pain every day.
So that kind
for
of
about 5 years
is not there.
So the feeling is not. But don't we have a responsibility to sort of temper the basic instincts when, because it's a different human being and it's a different pain. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
So for you, it's just another person with a broken knee. But that's not another person. That's a different human being feeling new pain that he has never felt before. So then it comes back to this issue of this healthcare system. Isn't the point of a system to offer training to our staff such that they can appreciate this? That it is not another one. It's a whole
And what I've come
one.
to, what I've come to learn through these experiences, we all have different thresholds when it comes to pain. What you take, I can't take. My pain threshold might be different from yours. So the way you see one patient will be different from the other patient. Because I've been told my pain threshold is high. I can't take pain. And from what I'm going through, I need to take the pain. Unfortunately, they will tell you. At a point, I was told, if you want to walk, you have to go through the pain. That is the only way out. No medication. The medication will just suppress the pain to help you go through the pain. It won't take it away. So it's not just another patient, as you are saying, coming with a broken knee. And the person's life depends on it. You may see it as a broken knee, but the person's life depends on it. The way you handle that knee will tell the person whether he or she will live or die. Because the pain that you go through, you can't imagine. It is not something as, it's not that pain that that regular pain, maybe I warm it, so it's painful. It goes through your, sometimes I feel it deep in your heart, in your mind. It affects your mindset. And if you are not strong, psychologically, you don't have the right people around you, especially medical staff, to guide you through the process, because it's a process. And that's why I was going through that from the initial stages, because I wasn't really informed. That conversation wasn't there between me and whether the surgeon or the medical staff in charge. What I gathered from the word was that, this pain will go away when they finish the surgery. But I realized the surgery is one part of the whole process. Because from the surgery, you have to go through physio. And if you don't have the correct people around, because what I realized had delayed my healing was that I wasn't well informed. Right from the surgery, after a week or 2 or 3, you are made to go through physiotherapy. But I wasn't psyched for that right from the word. What I gathered, or what I was told, what I got to know was that, you know, because of the cut, I'm to allow the cut to heal. There was no proper education on that. So even from the hospital, when I got back home, we were all waiting for the wound, the injury to heal.
Meanwhile, that's not what
is supposed to happen. The healing, you know, because now you have to after a while the knee has to bend, you know, because it's stiffened, it has to bend, and the bending process starts from the physio, right from when the injury starts, you know, healing.
I mean, you have to, for other surgeries, you are told to walk around.
You are told to walk around. I was asked to walk around, but the physiotherapy itself, where you start the bending process, I didn't know. So when I got back with the issue that I was going through, and the surgeon was like, but around this time you should be bending. I was like, I didn't, nobody told me. That conversation wasn't there. All I knew was that after the surgery, you know,
you will heal and you'll be fine.
So I was waiting for the injury to heal, not knowing it's a different ball game altogether. After surgery, the physio, the pain that you have to endure is what will heal you. That conversation wasn't there. Where am I supposed to find out that conversation? It's an interaction between the medical staff and myself. So we had, you know, later when, you know, we got to know ourselves. I got to know them, they got to know me. Before we started, you know, that engagement, that after this you do this, and then, you know, they started opening up. And I started also getting to understand. I started the physio, and that's the stage we are in now. By this time, they see me and like, I used to using double clutches. Then I asked in my head, why, is it my fault? You know, because when they asked me...
Was I in classroom with you at medical school?
It pisses me off, because if I knew...
Now that's the David I know.
How?
I've been waiting for you.
You know,
David.
If do you think I enjoy using clutches, and I keep, because of the relationship we now develop, I don't want to go that, but it amazes me some of them even ask me. Because what I know is, in other jurisdictions, they sit you down, you know, we will do this, we will do this. Even the prescription that you'll be given, you are told, oh, because of this, we will give you this and that. But from the initial stages, that conversation wasn't there. I had to psych myself up, you know, from the things I was hearing from the world, and, you know, other people who have gone through, was that I met other people who had gone through the surgery and were waiting to be discharged. You know, so from the conversations, I also got to know, but I couldn't get the in total knowledge that I needed to know. And that I think it really dampens the healing. I don't think it's me alone, because I'll give you a scenario.
Right.
There was a point I had, you remember I told you I had an infection.
Right, we spoke about that.
I had an infection, yes. Yeah. So I had to go back to see my surgeon. The surgeon wasn't there.
Right.
So I had to, and there were my two great surgeons. I've developed so much respect for them. So I had to fall on the second one, you know, to have a look at it. And the initial reaction from the surgeon, I was shocked. You know, because it was like, I think the guy was just tired, and later he confessed. So I had to go, he said I had to come back. It was a Tuesday. He rescheduled me for next week. So that they said they had to remove the plate, wash. I remember I told you they had to wash. I had to go back to theater and all that. So I don't think any patient will smile when you tell him that he should come back and you are going to cut him. No matter who that person is, will react. So in fact, when he said that, I was like, it's like, if you don't come, I'll write. Whether you come or not, I don't mind. That's what he told me. So I was like, you know, so it took me by surprise a little. I didn't react. You know me, I would have.
Oh, I know you. He would have had a few nice words.
He would have had a few nice words, but you know, because of the situation, I just mellowed. So. The following, but I had an interaction with my physiotherapist, you know, and he tells me that's not how it. And I realized he was a nice gentleman, But the following week, when we were billed for the surgery, because I had to report back to the ward, then we go back, because we have to go to the ward, to the consulting room in the morning before they put you back to the ward for surgery. Then it was like, you know, he had calmed down. And it was like, it was a different person. So my wife was like, what's happening here? You know, it was like, so he said, okay, he said, no, I won't do the surgery again. I'll put you on antibiotics for 2 weeks, then you come back. So my wife was like, but you said we're going, you know, to do surgery. You said, then I know what is best for the patient. In a nicer way.
Well,
jokingly. So I got to know, and he said they are seeing, he mentioned the number of patients they are seeing in a day. Hundreds of patients. And I felt, seriously, when he mentioned that, I felt pity. You know why? They sit on Tuesday from morning till evening. That is what, you know, from our observations. Because today I was billed for review. They sit on Tuesdays, do review. Wednesdays, they are back in theater. How do you cope? So sometimes I put myself in his shoes. So I forgave him. Because Tuesday, when you go there from morning till afternoon, this guy is sitting down, you know, consulting for over 100 patients. The following day, he's in the theater performing with surgery. How do you expect the person to perform? So sometimes I think the man is tired. That's why now, you know, because of that relationship that I developed with them and their closeness, I'm beginning to, and that's why I think the systems, I think the system is not working. How many doctors have we trained as surgeons who are to do this kind of surgeries? How many? What stress do we put them through? In the morning, look, this guy is sitting down. I think in the evening he has to understudy each case before he goes to the to the theater. The stress alone will kill him. Me, the patient myself, the stress I'm going through, I go and sit down there for about 2-3 hours waiting to see him.
And you see, this is really terrible. For every patient, ideally, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Forgive my ignorance, viewers. Ideally, my lame, you know, I would have thought that he has to study. He
has to study
the patient's record.
Yes.
Know the development over time. Even get to know the patient, his disposition. All of that. There's one case that I'm reading here where the lady was billed for, I mean, she was supposed to give birth, and she was a 27-year-old PhD student, and she said to the medical staff, listen, let's do a CS.
Okay.
Because I have high blood pressure.
Right.
Right?
The patient did.
The patient told them that I have high blood pressure. Let's do CS. And the hospital refused and did normal birth. She bled to death.
Whoa.
She bled to death. And the family won that lawsuit. It's one of the cases that, you know, I have here with me. The family won against the hospital because she wasn't right. But in an ideal world, this is information that everybody should have.
Everybody should have, And I think that engagement I've been talking about, and that's, I'm still coming back to the system itself. Do we have that protocols that doctors, I think there are, even on the international protocols, the requirement is there that that patient-doctor relationship should be there. It's part of the international health protocols. You should have, the doctor should have that engagement with you. I'm putting you on antibiotics. What do you think? Do you want this? And that's the kind of relationship I have with them now. Now when I go, they tell me, because of this, I want to give you this. If I show you my prescription, I was given 3 drugs today, but I told one of them, my surgeon, this one I react to it. If I show it to you, say it's cancelled. So we have that kind of, but I don't think that is what happens on the regular because of the numbers. So now we all, you know, that's why I'm a little bit laid back when we talk about negligence. You know, sometimes I am looking at it from the stress on these guys, especially the surgeons, looking at it from where I sit now and the kind of experience that I've had. That do they have the time? How many surgeons I've seen? I think from the knee side, 2. I don't know whether they're a lot, but you know, the close relations that I've had with them. When I go, it's either one of them, they do either this one, or I don't want to mention the names. Either one of them will do it. When I go and the other one is not there, the
And
other
you've been
one
in the
sits.
system for more than a month.
Yes.
So, I mean, if there are others,
I would have known. So just these two great surgeons. But when I go on Tuesdays for review, I pity them. Because if you look at the numbers, people waiting to be seen by them, that's a man who would love. Look, sometimes let's put ourselves in that. And that's why sometimes now I laid back a bit. And I think when you approach me with a case of medical negligence, sometimes
you are looking at
I'm looking at it from both sides. Do we put the blame on the medical, let's say the surgeon? Do we put all the blame on the surgeon, or we look at the system? Is it the system that is making them, undergo all this kind of, faults?
I mean, I think that there are some that we can't blame them for. And I think that there are some that we can.
Yes, you do surgery and you leave tools, those
some
ones,
that we
yeah.
definitely can blame them for. For
And
instance, those monetizing the system.
In my case,
right.
Sometimes I still fault them.
Right.
Sometimes, because no matter how busy the schedule is, at least that engagement, and I keep saying that because look, it's one of the most important therapy when it comes to healing. The patient knowing what he or she is going through, what kind of drugs you are giving him or her, what kind of treatment you are giving to. It helps the healing process. So if I had known that this is what I will go through, and I come to realize it's all about the mindset. I psych myself, I'm going to do surgery. If it's not happening, it puts you down. You have to psych yourself again. At a point, I was reacting to antibiotics. When I swallow, it comes out.
Oh dear.
Because when I take the antibiotic, I vomit. When I take, I vomit. But I have to endure it because I was told it's the only way out. Because I was told, I relaxed and it worked. But somebody who hasn't been told. So I think for me, I'll still come back to the system, the protocols. That when I get to a hospital, where am I supposed to go? What systems are triggered the moment they know it's malaria, the moment they know it's knee, the moment they know it's jaundice, the moment they know it's trauma? What protocols should be triggered? And I think we should have it in our system. And I believe we do have those systems that can be triggered. But the negligence that we're talking about, sometimes on the part of the medical staff, I've seen cases, look, in the ward, at dawn, somebody on night duty, sleeping and stuff. Sometimes in the ward, virtually when your leg is hanging, you can't move. Everything depends on somebody has to be around, attending to. In the middle of the night, you scream. You have to virtually scream, bang. Why?
There's nobody there.
There's nobody. There's nobody. Virtually, you have to scream. You scream, call out, call out, call out before somebody should come. And I keep asking myself, how much is a bell? Auntie Amma, a bell that a patient can press, to the ward and call a ward attendant, a nurse. It's non-existent. The facilities, and I think we've even missed that out.
Let's talk about that.
Facilities.
Let's talk about the facilities.
Sweat, wards. I don't want to mention the departments.
Right.
But somebody who has gone through my situation realizes heat is something you can't stand. Heat and cold. When it's too cold, I can't stand. When it's too warm, I can't stand. But in the absence of an air condition, how much? Look, when people were complaining, the facilities gets damaged.
So I could just talk about the painting in the room.
Yes. I think you mentioned it.
I told you.
Yes, you did.
Can nobody just please pick a paintbrush and just paint this room? Because the walls tell a story, like a horrible story.
Yeah. And I think it's part of it. It even helps you heal.
Right, the environment.
The environment. But I will still not relent, for me, that we've got great guides out there. I've met some of the top guys. But is it the system that is not really helping for them to give out their best? A surgeon who is stretched out, what do you expect him to do? I'm not saying he should go and do naught. But it's human. If you have 4, 5, 6 of such surgeons, I think the level of stress will come down. But, who do you blame? Do you blame government for not ensuring that these systems work? Is it the Ghana Health Services? Is it the Ministry of Health? these cases keeps coming up and down. Nobody seems to care. And, you know, I've heard from others say, look, it's not just putting up the infrastructure.
No, it's not.
I've built 20 hospitals. I've built 50 hospitals. How many hospitals did you build? We've left the hospitals to be, you know, in the bushes. But the systems or the healthcare system itself should be looked at. If you put up a magnificent, you know, structure, and inside the structure, the human beings there are killing innocent people, what use is that infrastructure that you put up? So I think holistically, it's the healthcare system that we need to look at. If we have 10 hospitals and the facilities are excellent, the healthcare given at these facilities are excellent, who will complain?
We always forget what the word care means.
Yes.
Care.
Why should I?
Where is the care in our healthcare system?
Somebody goes there, you are asking the patient to put money down. I mean, I've not heard. Look, I've been hearing of, you know, is it pay as you go or something? What they call it, is it pay as you go or something? But yeah, we've been reporting on the journalists, but when I went through, I saw how serious it is. It is a big system, and I think government must take a look at it. I don't know how that's going to be possible, but if you don't have money, you will die. That is a fact. If you fall sick in Ghana now and you don't have money, boo.
And you see, that brings to bear a bigger conversation about, you know, this building a cashless society.
Yeah.
You know, because God forbid, touch wood, you know, all of us wish for the best, but anybody could face a medical emergency at any point. At any point.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you might not have
Cash on you.
That's a fact.
And
I mean, who carries cash around hoping, okay, so if I get into an accident,
then take it.
Whoever lives like
and
that?
And amazingly, look, I got so for that the first day, we were asked to do card. So the guys were like, "Enti yam first come by card."
Yes.
I had to. The guy was like, "Go and bring the card. Munkoye X-ray. All this you have to pay." Right. So if you don't have money at that moment, you'll be left.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
You are in trouble.
You're in big trouble.
In trouble. It's you know, I'm particularly concerned about the maintenance culture.
Yeah.
Because I say all the time, normally you see a beautiful edifice,
yeah,
you know, on the outside.
But
when
inside,
you enter the wards, it's a totally different story, you know. And this thing about maintenance culture in Ghana, it gives me a headache.
I've seen ordinary thermometer. Ordinary thermometer. They were passing the thermometer from ward to ward. When it comes to this ward, the next round of nurses, they are waiting for this ward to finish testing. You know, I'm telling you, thermometer. Thermometer. And I was like, what's happening? Thermometer. Oh. So I asked, they said the one that they were using, I don't know, I think it's a new device, you know, it gives you, when it gives you a whole range of your blood pressure and all that, it was faulty. So what I did was, I have to get my own thermometer. But I didn't even trust that one, because I wasn't feeling comfortable, you know, the thermometer being moved from one place to the other.
That we are not concerned about anything, any condition.
From you to me, if the same ward I can manage, but to go to another ward
and go to the next
and come back, because the nurses were virtually waiting. And I think one issue that we also need to look at is this issue about new medical staff. Because sometimes they use this as white mouse or white rabbits.
Guinea pig.
Guinea pigs. And I complained because I had a worse experience in the theater. I was to have, you know, they have the two types. One, the spinal, they inject your spinal cord. Then they give you the other one is the chlorine or chloroform or something. The two types. So I was to go, I don't know the term, but they inject your spinal cord. Then you can see whatever is happening, but you don't feel it. So there was news, whether it was an intern, whether it was a new medical, one young guy, and the professional was standing there, and they were playing with my spinal cord. This, and I was like, whoa. So seriously, and I think it's one issue. I'm laughing, but it's a very serious situation. You know, they were virtually playing with my spinal cord, and you could hear them that look. So at a point, the professional nurse had to come and took the thing from the nurse because the surgeon was in a hurry, you know, to have the process done. You know, so I had to come back. So next time, no, I see, and then she did the thing, and I went off. You know, so these are some of the issues that I think, and I think it all boils down to the same issues we're talking about. If the systems are working, I don't think that we will be having, you know, this kind of conversation.
I wanted to read something. It's in line with what you just said. Unfortunately, oh goodness, I don't know why this is happening to me. You know, about. It was a process that was supposed to be done where they were supposed to sort of put a tube. It was supposed to be a very simple procedure. Yeah. But however, a mistake was made. And so the tube went to the wrong place. And that's what killed this other guy. And I'm trying to find it. Because the explanation was...
Yeah. And I think if it's well investigated, it could be as a result of
Yeah.
You know, because I don't see how a professional will come and stand there giving me anesthesia and then, you know, be doing trial and error. The guy was virtually doing trial and error on me. And I think that the various healthcare authorities must have a second look at this. I don't know how we should train. I don't know the protocols for training new doctors or new nurses in the various wards. But I think some of these things can be avoided, where the patient virtually feels that he's being used, you know, to that purpose. It can be done without you even knowing, recognizing that this is what is happening. But this one, you can virtually tell because the process goes on. Sometimes even drip, ordinary drip that you have to be given. The trial and error drip, because the new medical guy will come, maybe the nurse or something, will try to infuse the drip. It's not the person is not getting the vein.
Right.
Now they have to go and call.
To fight because it was my baby.
Yeah.
It wasn't even me, a grown up. Yeah. A baby. And they kept making mistakes.
Yeah, they have to
go in, come out. Go in, come out.
Go and call the professional, the real doctor to come and see. The person comes, one attempt, but it's gone.
It's gone. Let me just read this. They said they had performed a tristomy. I hope I got it right. A medical procedure that involves creating an opening in the neck in order to place a tube into a person's windpipe. The tube is inserted through a cut in the neck below the vocal cords. This allows air to enter the lungs. They said later that the trachea tube was removed to clear some blockage. But while reinserting the tube, it went under his skin instead of his throat. The two doctors said he should prepare for what he was about to see because the sight of Solomon was likely to scare him. It did. Emmanuel says he was devastated. Just looking at his brother in that state was devastating for him. And you know, like you're saying, we forget about the psychological impact
of all this,
of the person and of the people around the person. I can only imagine what your wife has been through.
A lot.
In all of this process, you know. And I think that it's enough, you know, that lack of professionalism, if we can be more professional. But like you are saying, and I agree with you totally, it's a bigger issue. We need to train more doctors.
We need to train more doctors.
We need to train more doctors. We need more nurses. We need more health professionals within the system. And once we have them, we need to give them better facilities to work with. Like you're saying, thermometer.
Surprising.
Thermometer.
Surprising. And it's not just once. It wasn't just a coincidence. It kept on happening. Ordinary thermometer.
And yet we can talk about things politicians use money to do in this.
Yeah. And for me, I think it's, I don't know, but it's time we have a much broader national dialogue on healthcare delivery in the country. And let people know, especially governments, it's not just building, you know, debating and showing prowess in the number of healthcare facilities you've built.
It's not a building.
It's not a building. It's not a building.
It's a system.
It's a system. If the system, you could have the beautiful edifice, but if the system is not working, a killing. I had, when I got back home, I had, you know, an interaction with one doctor who had come on retirement, and it's about an issue that was raised earlier on, I think somewhere last year, about avoidable deaths in the country in our various hospitals. Hundreds of the deaths that happen in our hospitals can be avoided.
Hundreds.
Yeah. If we have the right systems, if we have the right persons trained to do the things, hundreds can be avoided. Because as we are saying, some are negligence, some are just show of unprofessionalism. And sometimes and it all comes down, sometimes the nurses, the things you hear them talk about, the insults. What I've seen, it's really opened my mind. I've seen a lot of deaths in front of me, you know, and you hear people making fun of somebody dying.
Wow.
You know, and sometimes it baffles me. My name time I didn't buy you know, we know. You know, and they didn't even know when they brought the person. And I was there, right? The person died right in front of me like this. You know, so sometimes, and I think it all boils down to the training. These things can be avoided. Because as I keep saying, everybody and his orientation. Somebody hearing that alone can put the person off.
Right. That alone is trauma.
That alone is trauma. That sight alone is trauma. So for me, you know, my experiences, we've had issues about, you know, national, and I think the time is now. The politicians should stop telling us about the number of health facilities they've built. Let's have a proper, you know, dialogue on trying to improve healthcare in our country, because the deaths can be avoided. If all these things, the right, you know, facilities are given to the doctors, we have enough trained doctors, enough trained nurses. Now my two surgeons, they are my best doctors in the whole country. and I would say this wherever,
I was the best surgeon.
Yes, you know, I would say this wherever I go, that I've met some of the best doctors, some of the best nurses at that facility. Others who want to monetize the system are also there, and those are the guys you need to take out,
you need to fish them out
and encourage these doctors who have put their life across, you know, to ensure that.
Absolutely. It's great to have you back. We miss your sass around the office. We miss you. We miss you putting everybody on, you know. Yeah. We miss you. It's great to have you back.
Great to be back.
We know that with time, you'll be back on your feet.
God's grace.
You know that you'll be strong and healthy and back walking up and down, you know, climbing up the stairs. Yeah. It's great to have you back. But to end the show, I want to, you know, say a big thank you to your wife. Yes, I would to Mrs. Attoh. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate everything you did for our David. You know, for our David. Not your David, our David.
The kind of situation I went through, it's not all women who can, and
it's just so beautiful. I had to say it.
So
thank you, and you know,
if you don't mind, I also have a couple of.
No, you don't have thank you. Is it to doctors?
No. Let me land.
No, you won't land.
Fighting. We've not fought.
We'll fight today.
No. I just want to say a big thank you to my bosses here. You know, to the Socialist Forum of Ghana, my boss, Mr. Pratt. It's been wonderful, a wonderful boss. There's no words to use for that.
For
and
all
then
of
yourself,
we don't
and then all the staff here.
Right. We missed you.
Thank you so much.
And you are part, you know, you are a big part of us. Right. So it's great to have you back. There's nothing more to add to this conversation except to say that, you know, our David is back. We are grateful to God that he's back. But when you send your loved one to a hospital, It shouldn't be about God and prayers anymore. You should be rest assured that they are in good hands and they are receiving care. Hopefully, this conversation will trigger at least a feeling, in somebody who offers care, such that slowly but surely, we can have a better system. It's a bigger conversation than this, and we appreciate that. But we've started our bit. We've started our bit. Hopefully, you will do your bit, and the powers that be will ensure that what we have is a healthcare system, and not just, I don't have the words. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow.
Truly African.
Last year was lit. This year's gonna be massive. Fifi Pratt Polo Party at the Lisa Hotel, 4th December 2021. Time 8 p.m. sharp. Tickets 150 Ghana cedis regular and 250 Ghana cedis VIP. This is a